Okay, so this is part two to the previous video, so go back and check out part one if this doesn't make any sense. So, anyway, moving on here. So, Pat Shurmur is going to coach the Philadelphia Eagles for their next game at least. But he was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Interesting, look at his record here for the Cleveland Browns. 9-23. Very interesting record. This number has just been super surrounded in tons of recent events. Interesting, it's Cleveland as well. So interesting, it's Cleveland. You think of LeBron James a lot when you think of Cleveland, especially right now in the news, because there's an article about LeBron pretty much not knowing enough about the Tamir Rice case to stand up and not play or whatever. Tamir Rice was shot last year in, I think, November 22nd even, which stands out a lot, JFK and whatnot. So, but LeBron James in Jewish gematria adds up to 923. Remember last year during the NBA Finals when the Cavs were doing amazing, and then all of a sudden they started losing when the Warriors put in Andre Iguodala, and he guarded LeBron James. He wore number 9, and LeBron James wears number 23, so it was a 923 reference. LeBron was even in the movie Trainwreck. The movie starts out when Amy Schumer is 9 years old. The rest of the movie takes place 23 years later. And it all ties back into the Philadelphia train wreck. There's been lots of train references in recent events this year as well. But this Philadelphia train wreck happened at 9:23 p.m. on May 12th. It even shows that it was going 106 miles an hour, and the engine number or the locomotive number was 601, the mirror of 106. If you convert 923, like as a date, 923 on the Julian calendar would be the same as October 6th on the Gregorian calendar. So kind of like 106, 923 and 106 go together then. And there's been lots of 106s in the news recently, or just in significant events. On the movie I Pet Goat, it's a little cartoon that has a lot of predictive programming in it. Obama winks at 106 in the film. Also, it's an interesting thing dealing with Philadelphia because Philadelphia used to be the capital of the country Jordan. It used to be called Philadelphia until the year 106 AD even. We've even had all the lots of 76ers die this year. Even the oldest NBA employee who worked for the Philadelphia 76ers and kept the stats during Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game, Harvey Pollack, died this year. He died 106 days after his birthday. This guy died at the age of 106. He's famous for saving Jewish children on a train. Even had Jared from Subway. You get the Subway reference, the train reference. He was sentenced this year. Funny, I even remember having conversations with people a few months back, and they were totally programmed to say it, but they were talking politics and whatever, and I heard one of them say, Donald Trump is like a train wreck, because the news was putting that into people's heads, that Donald Trump was a train wreck. There was even a train wreck, I believe the day after the Paris attacks. There was even a train wreck in France. It also ties back into the movie Back to the Future 2, where they go to 2015. But at the very end of the Back to the Future series, on October 27th of 1985, Marty comes back to 1985. The DeLorean gets destroyed by the train, and then Doc Brown comes back in the train time machine. And it's just an interesting date because Philadelphia was founded on October 27th, 1682. That means in 1985 it was the 303rd year of Philadelphia, which was also 3 days before the 303rd day of the year. It also just so happened to be the same day that the Kansas City Royals last won the World Series before this year. It also just so happens to be the beginning of the World Series this year on October 27th. Philadelphia became 333 years old this year 33 days before the 333rd day of the year. Interesting about October 27th, too. October 27th, there's 65 days left until the end of the year. Remember, Philadelphia the small way adds up to 65 even. Also, this World Series was pretty interesting. It was the 111th World Series. Game 1 began on the first pitch, and the first inning scored 1 run. The in the park home run. I mean, unbelievable, right? And then even the TV blackout, the blackout that lasted until 9:23 p.m. Interesting too, when it came back on, it was after the 47th pitch. Remember, Chip Kelly adds up to 47. The guy who replaced him adds up to 47. It was even after his 47th game coaching the Eagles. There was even a blackout at the White House this year on 4/7. So just think about that. The blackout of the White House on 4/7. And remember, Kansas City won. Kansas City adds up to 122, just like Pope Francis. Interesting, Kansas City also adds up to 32. The 32nd day is 2/1/21 with 333 days left. Also, Kansas City Royals adds up to 59, just like Pope Francis. There was a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, even, where is it here? You know, the game, it ended on 11/1, November 1st, or the game started on 11/1. Matt Harvey was the reason why they lost, because Matt Harvey wouldn't come out of the game. He pitched 111 pitches. New York even adds up to 111. But moving on here, so we also had this train attack that was in France with the military guys that stopped the supposed terrorist or whatever. And I mean, what are the odds? The one guy was from Roseburg, Oregon, and then the other guy, right around the same time of the Roseburg, Oregon shooting, he all of a sudden got stabbed in, like, what was it, like San Diego? I mean, what are the odds of that? That guy gets stabbed. There's a Roseburg, Oregon shooting. Of course, Oregon is where the Oregon Ducks play. The University of Oregon, Oregon Ducks. Also, you know, the capital Salem, which even ties into the fake Roanoke shooting that happened this year. Oregon also is the 33rd state. It's the only state that in gematria that adds up to 74. But what I find interesting is that it was founded on Valentine's Day, 1859. Valentine's Day, if you go back and watch tons of my videos, I've covered Valentine's Day over and over. It also ties into Lupercalia, the Roman festival where they sacrifice and celebrate the dog or the wolf, which also ties into Romulus and Remus, who founded Rome on the same day that Queen Elizabeth was born. And whatever, you know, but even, I guess, the first emperor of the Roman Empire was Augustus, who was born on September 23rd, 923. But Oregon was founded on Valentine's Day 156 years ago. Interesting thing about 156 is that if you write out the word 33, it's the 33rd state. If you write out the word 33, it adds up to 156. Also, the 156th prime number just so happens to be 9/11. I'm sure you all know about 9/11. So anyway, now that I got a lot of that out of the way, Chip Kelly, the Eagles coach who was just fired, he's also known, or mostly known, for leaving Oregon. He was the head coach of the Oregon Ducks to go coach the Philadelphia Eagles. So I guess, you know, I've talked about this before, but what stuck out to me was the same day that he got fired, we got this story in the news on CNN. Singer Craig Strickland missing, friend dead after hunting in storm. And the interesting thing is he was duck hunting. He was to kill ducks, and they were in Oklahoma. Thankfully, they found his dog named Sam, and Sam is a 33 word even. And the Oklahoma thing just reminds me of this story here, the Zavion Dobson thing. Interesting, this cop here, his name in gematria adds up to 47, also 56 with the S exception, just like Chip Kelly. And his brother, Zach Dobson, also adds up to 47 with the S exception. So interesting, and 56 if you include the K one. And then Xavion even adds up to 56. So they all added up to 56, which is interesting. But he's wearing this Oklahoma State Cowboys hat. Now this is in Tennessee, so it's just kind of weird that he's wearing this hat. I mean, we had the lady who crashed into the parade at Oklahoma State. I mean, they even play in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Stillwater adds up to 139, just like the word Freemasonry. But what stuck out to me about it involving ducks is the high school that they play at was called Fulton High School. Fulton High School. I mean, all you can think about to me, Fulton is Fulton from the Mighty Ducks. So Fulton from the Mighty Ducks, in this movie, he's even number 44. An interesting number. Obama's the 44th president. He's even 44 years younger than JFK, the 44th term president. Even Hillary Clinton is the 44th first lady. The first president to die in office died on April 4th, kind of like 44. He died at the age of 68, William Henry Harrison. And some interesting numbers. So Barack Obama also adds up to 68. The country singer that's missing in Oklahoma, duck hunting, adds up to 68. The Oregon Ducks play in Eugene, Oregon, 68. Even Lemmy that I talked about, Lemmy, 68. This is the guy who owns the Philadelphia Eagles, who fired Chip Kelly. His name adds up to 68. Now, I still need to go back and rewatch the Mighty Ducks. But I know in the very beginning, when they're District 5 still, and Gordon Bombay comes out on the ice to meet him, and Goldberg, the goalie, says that he's going to be moving back to Philly, and he never moves back to Philly. It's just kind of strange that they would have that, but Emilio Estevez is even born on the same day as the Philadelphia Trainwreck. Also, brothers to Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen just came out and said he had HIV and whatnot. This movie's even 101 minutes long, which once again, Philadelphia adds up to 101. And then it has Joshua Jackson in it, who plays Charlie Conway, CC. C is the third letter, 33. Charlie, a 56 name. We also had the duck boat stuff, the duck boat stories in the news this year. This one was on May 8th, 5/8, and it involved the bus hit this 68-year-old woman. She was walking across the street on 11th and Arch. 11th and Arch adds up to 68. And of course, it was in Philadelphia. I mean, and look, check it out. View comments. 47 comments on this. I mean, give me a break. But there was also the duck bus crash that happened in Seattle on September 24th. Interesting. 5/8 to September 24th is a span of 139 days, just like Freemasonry once again, just like the Kanye West stuff. Freemasonry, the small way, even adds up to 58, like 5/8. Interesting in this one, they show you the pictures of it, and it hit the Bel Air bus here or whatever, right? Like Bel Air and the Fresh Prince. I mean, just stands out to me a lot. They also took the victims to Harborview Medical Center. Harborview adds up to 58. Interesting, too, we just had this guy who died, Dave Henderson. They call him Hindu. Hindu with an I, like the religion or whatever, adds up to 56. This guy was born in the year 58, died in Seattle. Who knows? I'm sure it's more connected than that, but when I think of Seattle, I think of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Of course, because they used to be the Seattle Supersonics. It ties into Russell Westbrook. I'm going to make another part and I'll talk about that. I just wanted to finish this one off by mentioning that 1968 also just so happens to be 47 years ago. 1947 is 68 years ago, or at least for just one more day. Also, if you write out the word 68, it adds up to 56. Also, the same year George Bush graduated from Skull and Bones, MLK Jr. died. 33 years before 9/11.